TUFF SHIFT. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of TUFF SHIFT. I am the podcast. Why? This is episode 55, and that's still happening. The podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. I am your host, Sean Patrick Murtagh. There, I did it, people. I did it. I said the thing I say every week and seem to mess up every other week. And I'm going to we're going to go right into pre-shift. We're going to go right into pre-shift because there's just minor annoyances. And as a gay man, a minor annoyance becomes a major thing. And I just, people. I need you to own your shit. Own your shit, okay? So this is not end of the world, catastrophic type, encounters and stuff like that, but it is annoying as fuck when you're working at a busy bar in a busy restaurant and people just slow you down because they don't communicate, they don't own their shit, and they don't tell the truth. So this week, now this did not happen to me. This happened to my coworker who was working the bar with me, who I depend on because I'm in the well and I'm buried in tickets and I'm throwing out drinks, and it is just and I need him to do the bar top. So we are the team. We get shit done. So when you fuck with him, you're fucking with me. And also, I'm a Scorpio, so I hold grudges on behalf of people. So he comes over and he's like, these ladies at the end of the bar, I just can't. So they order their food. They have all this food coming out. And then their main plate comes. And he is nothing if not thorough, almost annoyingly so. Like, he does these menu tours, like, hey, y'all, welcome in. Have you been here before? And he does like these. It's annoying because I don't do the menu tours. I do like when I took the test to work at this place, I was like, oh yes, and the menu tour, and blah 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 blah, and we're inspired by blah 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 blah. And I will walk you through the menu when a manager or an owner is in earshot. But otherwise, like, I'm busy. It's a bar. Go sit at a table if you want that level of service. Like, this whole idea where you should be able to get the same level of service at a bar as you get at a table. No, you shouldn't. And not everybody should sit at a bar. A bar is a different service. I like sitting at the bar because I feel it's a little more relaxed and less in your face, specialing you on things you don't give a shit about and this and that. It's like, I can see the bartender. I can make an eye contact if I want another drink. I don't have to worry about somebody overly checking in. That's why I like it. And some people sit at the bar because like, oh, we just want to be part of the magic, and then they bother the shit out of you. And this is what these ladies did. So again, Tyler, my work husband, is nothing if not thorough, and he never doesn't ask. He never is that grammar? I don't give a shit. He always asks, is there any allergies we should let the kitchen know about? And these ladies said emphatically, no, we're all good. That's the end of the conversation, right? So when their main course comes out and they flag him down and call him over and are like, we didn't see that it has quinoa and we actually have a quinoa allergy. No, you don't. No, now you can have, I understand that if there's anything that you can ingest, you can be allergic to it. I get it. You can have an intolerance to anything. I get it. But there's no such thing as a fucking quinoa allergy, all right? There is no such thing. The Incas did not protect this ancient grain for you to pull this bullshit move on us. You don't like quinoa. And that's fine, and get it. Listen, I'm a gay man. I am avoiding carbs like it's a zombie attacking me. Like, I'm just like, no, carbs. And I understand. Quinoa has protein. Yes, but it also has carbs. So I get avoiding things, but like, read the fucking menu. I have a food allergy. And if I make a mistake, guess who that's on? Moi. Okay? So I need you to own your fucking shit. Don't make shit up. And don't expect me to give a shit when things don't go wrong because you didn't pay attention, all right? That is on you. And you slow us down. And now we have like this wasted food. And of course, they touched and did all this stuff. So we have, full plates of food in our bus tub, which then gets our manager be like, why are there full plates of food in your bus tub? It's like, listen, Dick, we're not trying to sneak food. If I like, first of all, I don't eat off people's plates. That's fucking disgusting. And if I wanted to sneak food, you think I would put food in a bus tub where other dirty dishes from other dirty people have been? Like, get a fucking grip. What is with people? Like, get a fucking grip. And I'm going to give an example of people doing the legwork because customers, it is as much on you. Your experience in a restaurant is as much on you as it is on me, all right? You have to participate. I've said this many times. I can't cut the food for you. I can't chew the food for you. I can't I can only do so much to facilitate your good time. You gotta grab the reins at some point. You have to read the menu. You have to communicate your allergies, and if they're fake allergies, you have to just communicate that you don't like it, right? This whole shit started with Sex in the City. I'm not sure if it started with Sex in the City, but it was popularized in Sex in the City when the character of Samantha was like, well, if you don't like something, just make sure you tell them it's an allergy. And it's like, fucking shit. No, just, if onions come on your burger, pull them the fuck off or send it back. But don't do this allergy bullshit because there's a whole list of hoops that we have to jump through for your fake allergy. And then you're like, no onions in my burger. I'm allergic to onions. But can I swap the fries for onion rings? Yeah, that type of bullshit fucking pisses me off. So stop doing that. Let me give you an example of a good customer who just last night, she was annoying as shit. She just came in and started talking at me, modifying everything. And so I don't want to, beatify her and make it seem like she was this perfect customer. She was annoying as shit, but you know what? She fucking communicated her needs. If you're gonna be annoying, I'd rather have you over communicate. And she ordered the exact same thing that these ladies did. But she said, you know what? I see that it has quinoa. You read the menu? You read the menu? She goes, and she says, I don't like quinoa. What can I do? Babies, take a lesson from advocate for yourself. You don't like, I don't want you to have quinoa. I want you to have a good time. I know I talk a lot of shit on here. I know I complain, but I want people to have a good time without affecting my time. All right. So that's an example of owning your shit. And I swapped out her quinoa for a little mixed green salad and everything was hunky dory. All right. So I want to just I want to implore you when you go out to a restaurant, read the menu. If you have a food allergy, aversion, intolerance, let your server know, but also kind of look around the menu and see what you could possibly. Now, we're not going to, swap quinoa for a steak. It has to be something within the same range, like vegetable for vegetable, starch for starch. That's a general rule. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask you to, in advocating for yourself, like, read. Reading is fundamental. And if you have an issue looking at the menu, look ahead before you get to a restaurant. Tell your person, like, hey, can you help me out with this? Because, like, just don't make my time harder. Don't make my time harder. And rant. And rant. All right. That's it. Advocate for yourself. Read. Don't fuck with me. There we go. And that's Hospitality 101. A few shout outs before we move on. Parade, the musical that I'm in here in Los Angeles, my Los Angeles stage debut. We are coming up. It is going to be here faster than you know it, our opening night. We are fully blocked, and now we are just cleaning up because, when things get on their feet, it gets a little messy. That's just how it is. Like, if you go from music rehearsal to choreography, all the parts go out the window. All the words go out the window because your brain is just doing all these different things. So it's such a thrilling and awkward time in rehearsal when you're fully blocked, you're fully this, and now you just have to do run-throughs and see, like, where things you've kind of Frankenstein the show together and where things don't actually fit and how to fit it. So we're in good shape, and I'm just saying it out loud. So that way when I go to rehearsal tonight, I remember we're in good shape and this is part of the process. And let me tell you, the cast is stunning. The ensemble is phenomenal. They are just, like, extremely talented. And, like, with all the tracks that they're doing, they are creating all these different characters. Vocally, they are stunning. There is so much going on stage. It's going to be a wonderful show. And it is at the Electric Lodge in Venice, California. Cute little theater venue. With down by like Abbot Kinney, like there's a lot of restaurants, a really cute part of Venice. And it is October 23rd through November 2nd. You may remember that I was giving the wrong dates. Well, that stops. And I will link the ticket link in the show notes for this show. But if you literally just Google Parade Venice, California, the first thing will be the Eventbrite link. They're $25. Got y'all, the talent on this stage, $25 to see like this caliber of theater. Come on, LA. Come on, LA. Buy your tickets now. Second of all, Shaken and Stirred. Did I? Yes, I copy and pasted the information. Shaken and Stirred, the documentary about flair bartending. You remember we had Robin Clausen, we had Deborah Richards, Lindsay Palumbo, Colby Ashton on to talk about their experience as flair bartenders and the documentary they made about flair bartending competitions and really the history of flair bartending. They are coming to LA on October 16th at 7 p.m. for the LA Femme Film Festival. It is the longest running female film festival in Los Angeles. And it is going to be at near the Crypto Arena at the Regal Cinema in downtown LA. So where the Crypto Arena is, right there. And I mentioned last time, like right around the corner from it is a place called Sol de Agave. Go. Their margaritas are amazing. They're not sponsors of the show. They're welcome to become sponsors of the show. Go to Sol de Agave, get a margarita. There's a little lady making tortillas fresh. It is beautiful. Oh, that reminds me, last night I was at work and I was like, telling people what was on the menu, and I was talking about drinks and the wines, and I was talking about tequila. And this man, because people look at me and they just see a map of Ireland on my face, and they forget that's only half the story. And the man was just like, he's like, I just love the way you pronounce the tequila's names, and I was like, correctly? He's like, yeah, you're just like El Tesoro, Clase Azul, and I'm like, and I didn't tell him because it just makes me laugh. I'm like, yeah, I just care about what I do. Anyways, go to La Femme, L-A Femme. Femme is Femme. I didn't take French. I'm just reading it off the paper. .org, and get your tickets to see Shaken and Stirred. All right, last thing I need to talk about. Another annoying customer interaction that again had nothing to do with me, but I was watching it in plain sight. I was in the service well, making drinks, and also being a little metiche, that's Spanish, a little nosy person, putting my nose in, watching this lady rip into my boss, just like finger in face for like 5 minutes in the middle of the floor, just going after my boss and wagging her finger and telling her, they're throwing food at us and da 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 da. And she was upset that like we weren't Greek enough because we're not a Greek restaurant. We have a heavy Mediterranean influence, and it's not the first time as somebody from any Mediterranean country has come and be like, this is not authentic blah blah blah, blah food. Well, no shit, it's California. It's Southern California. Do you know how many California Mediterranean cuisine spaces there are? Like, that's the thing going on right now. So it's all inspired by the Mediterranean. If you're coming to have your yaya's, avgolemeno, that's not on the menu. And even if it was, it wouldn't be your yaya's avgolemeno. All right, just let's keep our expectations, in control. Let's set our expectations at a place that we can really, achieve. So she's yelling that this place is not Greek enough, and we're Greek, and we da 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 da, and just going at him. And then like the server is like throwing food, and it turns out that like they didn't want to order family style, so they ordered all of their dishes individually, and then were upset when all the dishes came out at the same time. And it's like, well, do you did you want family style because you shot it down, and you want some people to eat and some people not to eat, and she was just like ripping into my boss. And I am very hard on managers because again, if you expect something of me, I'm gonna expect the same in return. So I don't play with managers. If you drop the ball, I will call you out. I will hold it against you. I will talk shit about you with my coworkers about all the ways you're dropping the ball and treating us like shit. But I'm fair. And I was like, this isn't cool. Like, my manager's a human being and she's ripping into him and she, like, finger in the fucking face, and he's keeping his cool. I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know how you do it. I would Hulk the fuck out. Like, you want to talk? I will, let's talk. Let's talk. I could, and I started to feel bad for him. And I was like, man, poor guy, like that. And he handled it with grace, which is, again, something I can't do. And one of the more draining things about this industry is having a smile on your face when the person is just being an asshole. Customer's not right. Like, this person was wrong. Nothing. Oh, and she wanted a certain dish on the table waiting for them when the party arrived, but she arrived early and wanted to be sat early, and then was upset that the dish that she had pre-ordered wasn't there when she sat earlier than her scheduled reservation. Fuck off. Like, that is nuts. That's just, and so I'm just like, my poor manager. And he ended up comping their full meal because, like, that's just how much they do hospitality. And I'm like, you are creating bad guests. You are creating bad guests. And I'm just like, but I felt bad until my coworker came up to me and said, hey, I have something to tell you. I'm like, please let me know. And it totally took away every ounce of, like, sympathy I had towards my manager. So you may mention, or you may remember, I mentioned a couple weeks ago about, like, the crazy levels of suspensions, and my coworker who deserved to be suspended for poor performance just so happened to come at a time when another coworker of mine who's who's amazing at what he does was also suspended for shitty guest behavior and guests complaining about him, and they just are so guest first that they are team last. Like, their employees are at the bottom of the barrel, and they will throw them under the bus for the sake of a guest. And they ended up suspending him and then taking shifts away from him. And so it's 6 weeks out from, maybe 6 weeks, maybe, I don't know, from his suspension and having shifts taken away. And he was on, the schedule came out, and then the schedule was updated, and he had more shifts taken away from him. And so he approached this manager who just, got reamed by a customer to be like, hey, it's been a while, and I just want to know, like, what's going on and when I can get my shifts back, because it feels like a little out of balance. It feels a little targeted, and it's affecting my money because I'm not able to make what I need. And I own a house. I have a husband. I have all these bills. I just had to cancel a trip because for the past however many weeks you've been taking shifts away, and I don't know why I'm still being punished. And dead ass, he said the manager looked him in the face and said, sounds like you need to be better with your finances, bro. The fuck? What the fuck is that shit? No, bro, I don't need to be better with he doesn't need to be better with his finances. You need to be better with his finances. You need to be better with you're fucking with people. And this is what I said the other week. And so everything I felt, I was like, man, I wish that lady would have slapped him. After I heard that, I was like, I wish that lady would have punched him just square in the face. That is some bullshit behavior. And this is why, like, like I told you people, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. I can't be in this industry anymore. It's appalling. And it's funny because they don't talk to me that way. And that, I'm not that I want them to talk to me that way because they don't want me to talk back to them that way. But it's like, why are you talking to these people a certain way? But for me, you wouldn't dare. Like, you're a bully. You're a fucking bully. And next time I hope that customer punches you in the face. There we go. Sorry, is that a little angry? I'm a little angry at that situation. And it's one of those things where I'm like, outside of this situation, my boss can be a pretty cool person. And that's why I'm like, shit, I'm shooting the shit with him again. And like, I don't like him as a boss, but as a person, he's really easy to talk to. And we have similar senses of humor. And it's just one of those things where I'm just like, why are you such a dick to your employees? Why are you such a dick to your employees? And so I'm going to just, like, bring it back to the top of the show when I was mentioning about those ladies and customers. Own your shit. Don't make shit up, and don't let your shit get in my way. I need you to do that. Like, you set your employees up for failure, and then you rake them across the coals over something that they couldn't possibly give to the customers because you didn't give them the tools and the resources they need, and you didn't stand by them. All right? End rant, really end rant, because we've been going long enough, and our lovely guest today is in the waiting room ready to come on and share his experiences. And if this triggered anything in him, I can't wait to hear it. He is a phenomenal talent, triple threat, true triple threat. He dances, sings, acts so well, with a resume that just goes on. He is a Los Angeles based singer, actor, dancer who also did time like I did in New York and has worked all over. He does TV, film, he works in theater, he does it all, and he does it all so well. And he is starring in the production of Parade as Leo Frank. And let me tell you, this is a performance not to be missed. He is just he's so magnetic on stage. Your eyes just go to him, and there's just so much heart in everything he's doing. And Leo Frank is not an easy role because he's not necessarily likable in the script. Like, it's like he's, with all that's going on around him, he's kind of a dick, and he's kind of a dick to his wife, and yet it's like you see this progression, and he's just, I can't sing his praises enough of what he's doing with his character and what he's bringing on stage. And I can't wait to talk to him about all the amazing things he's done. He has done, he's worked with celebrities like Dermot Mulroney, Carolyn O'Connell. He's done Merrily We Roll Along, Mac and Mabel. He has done everything: Golden Age, modern musicals, workshops, national tours on both coasts and all over. Please welcome to the show the amazingly talented, my new friend and boss, because he's one of the producers of this. So yeah, just like Bryce last week, he's one of my bosses, but a boss that I like. Welcome to the show, Adam Freed.
Thank you so much.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
It's early for me. I worked last night, but I'm doing great, and I'm so glad that you were so accommodating in your schedule to come and share your experiences here. So let's just rip the Band-Aid. I need to
Absolutely, I'm
know,
ready.
what was your gateway job into becoming a walking, talking, singing, and maybe shuffling off to Buffalo stereotype of a performer in hospitality?
I actually had the pleasure of studying abroad in London when I was in college. And I have a slew of British cousins that were nice enough to let me stay with them when I found out I could get a visa and work there for the summer. And the reason being, I was dating this lovely Australian guy that I just did not want to let go of the relationship we had for while I was studying. And I really wanted to also pursue being in a big city because I knew that New York was on the forefront of where I wanted to go after I graduated college. And so I got this visa called UNAC, where if you had 12 credit hours, you were able to pay $250 and then you could get the ability to work in the UK. And obviously, knowing hospitality is really harsh in London, there's not a whole lot of good customer service because that's more of an American aesthetic. I just walked around London the day that I was looking for a job, randomly showed up at the Hard Rock Cafe, and they were doing a whole hiring thing. There was like a line around the block, and they had a place for me to like get a photo. I went through a first interview, second interview, got hired on the spot, which was very convenient because the next day I was actually leaving to go on a trip to Greece with Andrew, my ex-boyfriend. And when I came back, because the visa type I had, I didn't have a job. I would have been in really big trouble when we came back into the UK because it's a work visa, not a travel visa. So it worked out really well. But that was my first foray into hospitality. Was working at the original Hard Rock Cafe, which is in Green Park across from Buckingham Palace. And it was just like, I mean, imagine what you would think of for a busy London restaurant. It has two levels, working with career servers. When I say career servers, we know that like there's a woman named Rita who was one of the very first servers. I mean, we're talking when I was there, this is 2004. I think the Hard Rock had been open for 33 years, and she'd worked all 33 years. And she was this Irish, brassy broad, and they had a Rita Day where she would go by to the table, and she was a celebrity. But I mean, there was no trays. You had to learn how to carry 4 or 5 drinks with your hands. You had to go up and down stairs from carrying. When one of the kitchen was not operational, we'd have to carry the food from downstairs, the upstairs, and just run everything and figure it all out. But it was really like the best crash course I could have asked for like how to handle being in a busy restaurant and own your, as you say, own your shit.
Yeah.
And it was so fascinating because I was working with like all these different nationalities of people. It was just because London's such a melting pot. It was one of the coolest places to work at. Um, of course, it had its problems, and we had our own tough shifts within it. But it was just such a great gift because then when I came back and I was ready to start applying to hospitality jobs, I think it really did well on my resume for a lot of places I was interviewing for in New York because they're like, oh, you worked in London. Like it just kind of became this interesting point that, ironically, it sounds really exciting to be working in a restaurant in London, thinking you're going to have nothing but British people. That was not the case. Like Hard Rock like was just a magnet for Americans that just wanted a cheeseburger, and so like it was great for me because the currency of British pounds at the time was about $2 to, or £1 to $2. So my money basically doubled when I came home that summer. And all these Americans had all these like coins, which are like £2 coins, £1 coins. They would order a burger that was like 15 pounds and give me 15 pounds of tip because they're about to fly home and they wanted all this heavy coins in their pocket. So it was quite a fun summer job. I got to work, I think, the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert in Hyde Park, which was kind of a fun event they brought us into. And I'll never forget that James Brown was the opener, and this is before he had passed away. And
I
ultimately, I
sure
don't
hope
think,
so.
yes,
Like, that was creepy.
wasn't it? I just mean this was years ago. But I don't think James Brown understood the concept of open. And he just kept on dancing on stage, and it almost felt like you could have imagined this like hook trying to get him off stage because he just kept on going, get on up, and like literally bopping around the stage, doing the splits, and he just wanted to stay on stage forever. And the Chili Peppers were ready to come on, and I think he oversang his welcome, but it was great. It was lots of fun experiences.
Yeah.
That is the first hospitality that kind of got the whole rest of my hospitality career started.
That's amazing. And I don't think that James Brown didn't understand the concept of opening. I don't think they understood who they got because that is such a James Brown thing. Like it's literally like, even in Sister Act 2 when they're doing like a little James Brown tribute and like she like, oh, I gotta get off stage and then I'm back to life. And it's one of those things that's like so James Brown, like you chose him to open, you're going on stage tomorrow. Like that's your
You're
fault. But I
welcome.
also I also love that you worked at Hard Rock Cafe, because it's one of those things where it's like I'm working in a different environment than American hospitality, but then it's also kind of American because when I was studying abroad in Spain, and I was addicted to iced tea at the time, and iced tea's not. And I was also addicted to like free refills. Now I like don't do any of. I don't eat the way I used to. And like I would go to Hard Rock Cafe. I had to go at least once a month. All the American students we'd get together and go, and I would have like like me just for me, not to share. I would have the sampler tower. Because it had like the potato skins and the egg rolls and the this and that, and then it was the only place that had free refills. And it was just like all the Americans just wanting the comfort of home. And it's like, of course, we're at the Hard Rock Cafe. So I love that was your first job. That just dug up so many fun memories for me. But now I want to get
It
into
also was so interesting to observe like how Americans are different than Europeans and how they order in the like have it your way mentality. So for example, like people would just be like, I want to get some like with my steak. Do you have cheesy broccoli? I was like, no, we just have steamed broccoli. They're like, well, can't you just melt some cheese and create cheesy broccoli for me? Like they would create off menu items and ask us to do things which I knew my chefs couldn't do. But I just felt like you never saw, like there was never someone from Europe that was in London that came in that ever asked to change anything off the order. Every single American I served absolutely would just want to do something and customize. And I think it was so interesting to be in an environment with a bunch of different nationalities of coworkers, people from Italy, New Zealand, like, Russia, like I had all these different coworkers that were very observant of how Americans were. And I was operating as an American, trying to be an ambassador for Americans and
yeah.
deal with that dynamic. But literally, I think Karen started here, unfortunately.
No, we cultivated it because, in similar to what I say about the restaurant I work at, and most of the restaurants I work at, we cultivate bad behavior in bending over backwards when it's like, no, you're wrong. You didn't read. You dropped the ball on your own experience, but we just make everything right. And I think it's interesting you say, you were there operating as American. I'm sure for the people from Italy, from France, from wherever, it is so much probably. It's probably easier for them to deliver the no, where even though like you're in London and you have all the right to say no, as an American there's just like this internalized guilt about telling someone no. The other thing is, and I love that British people do this, I always feel bad because if something goes wrong and if I'm waiting on British people and the restaurant drops the ball, British people profusely apologize as if they were the one that overcooked a hamburger, or if they're the one that found a bug in their, like they placed the bug in their salad. It's like one of those things where it's like, no, please stop apologizing. This is our fault. Like British people are just a little too polite when it comes. Did you ever have experience like with that where it's like,
Oh, 1,000%. I'm like, oh, I'm terribly sorry. I asked for this to be medium rare, but I must have waited too long to eat it, and now it's well done. Can you? It's like they like blame themselves all the time. You're absolutely right. I do appreciate so much that it felt like American customer service was very much also appreciated from them. Like I think there's a reason why if they did come in there, they just knew they're going to get those free refills without being asked, and all these other
yeah.
things that I think a lot of other places. If you went to like pubs, have you been to London before?
uh I've been to England. I was supposed to go to London. My friend was studying at the University of Kent, and so this is when I was studying abroad. So I went to go stay with her, and we're going to do day trips into London. But then, like, it was, I can't remember, it was Heathrow or Gatwick, whatever the shitty airport is, lost my luggage for all 4 days, even though, so they lost it, and then they delivered it to the dormitory where we were staying, but they didn't tell us it was delivered. It still said in transit. And so we just had this luggage in a dorm that wasn't my. So I had like 4 days that we had to like be nearby for when they dropped off the luggage, and I didn't. So I never made it to London, but I made it
Oh,
to England.
it is. I mean, it's honestly it's an amazing place because I have British family. I've had to go multiple times for like weddings and things like that. But I just love to kind of go. I most recently was there right before the pandemic in 2020. Actually, it was kind of the mid-pandemic starting, and was on my way to go see my friend Monica on a cruise ship, which was performing in the Canary Islands. But London is just such a cool city because it's like you take anything America has, and it's just so much older. Like even like a Starbucks is in this like 1,000-year-old building that's like an old bank that they've converted, and I just love the character of how the city just has so much age to it and so much
Yeah,
history, and yet it is a city just like how New York can be, where there's just everyone's there for their own reasons, their own dreams, and with the EU relationships they have, there's just so many Europeans that were just so excited to be like forging a life there. But at the same time, there's still a lot of British people. But the whole trope where people think that they're going to come back after spending a lot of time in London and have a British accent, I was like, bullshit, because you're just talking to like 17 different accents in one day. Like, how are you supposed to just immerse yourself and completely just lose your accent?
we're
But
talking about Madonna.
yes, we are. Among others, I knew people from like my from my theater school that literally were like came back from the study abroad, and all of a sudden they were talking a little funny and affected. And I wonder why we lose all sense of ourselves when we go to some place for a few months. It's like, do we not accept ourselves that much?
Hey there, just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at TUFF SHIFT Podcast. That's TUFF Shift Podcast. Everywhere. Literally everywhere. And just a reminder, gratuity's not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at tuffshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF Shift Podcast.com. All right, back to the show. It happened a lot that I saw with when I studied in Spain. A lot of people, a lot of the American students, did a similar thing. And it was funny because, I'm a Spanish speaker. So I went there. My issue was I went there and they were a little racist because they are a little racist. And so they were always making fun of my accent. They're like, oh, you talk like a Latin American lady. And I'm like, that's because I was raised by Latin American women. Like, that's my family. Like, so I was like fighting that. But like, I noticed like a lot of my, fellow students from America, they were while there were just doing the oh, how do you say? I'm like, your Spanish is not good enough for you to get lost in language. Like, you need to stop the Eladia Baldwin bullshit of it all. Like, just, and it's just funny. And then when we came back, we were pretentious when we came back to where we would just be like, because they speak Catalan in Barcelona, so we would find like Catalan restaurants in San Francisco, and we would like text each. Well, we didn't text back then because back then texting cost money. People, we would like Facebook message or instant messenger people with our like five Catalan. That's how we were pretentious. Anyways, I'm taking over the show. I want to get back to you. So with all that being said, laying the groundwork for your start in hospitality, is there a tough shift among all the tough shifts that just sticks out in memory and you're like, whew, I'm glad that day's over?
Oh, 1,000% yes. So I'm going to fast forward to my current situation where I work in two different restaurants in Los Angeles. One of them is a membership club. I'll just leave it at that. And because it's a membership club, they like to say yes to the guests more than anything because these people are paying annual memberships to be able to go there and have meetings. I was supposed to work a double that day. I did work a double, but for lunch, it's just because of its proximity to a lot of people's offices, sometimes you just get a whole pit of people all at once. And the section I was working in was actually like 4 or 5 sections, but usually at lunch it doesn't get that busy. But for some reason, they decided to just slam me with what turned out to be 25 tables in 5 minutes. And these are, because it's a membership club, these people all know the menu. So as soon as they sit, they're kind of ready to order, ready to go, have to get back to work. And one of my tables was a 13 top that was doing a prefix and they had wine. And so I was trying to get my manager to bring me the wine and handle them and get their coursing fired. And then all of a sudden, seat me all these tables in our inside dining room, all these tables in the outside lower terrace, all these tables in the dining and the living room, and the entire upper terrace all at once. Like it was comical to see how many hosts and people that could have going to my section simultaneously. Managers, like there was like literally parades of people going at the same time. And I literally didn't have any support because we only had 2 supporting bussers and they were so busy in the upper zone because I think we did almost 200 covers for this lunch. It just kind of came out of nowhere. And I've never felt like walking out of a restaurant before, but I literally was just like having the keep calm, carry on, keep calm, carry on, keep calm, holy, holy, holy. It just kept on going and going and going. And then my managers that were trying to help, God bless them, were kind of new and I kept on putting in the wrong table numbers. So then I had to like split the table off and rename the table and it was like fires became wildfires. And I literally felt.
Stop helping. Stop helping.
I know. And this is on me too, but for some reason, I don't know if you're like this as a server who also is an actor, is it's just easy for me not to write things down because it's a waste of paper and I don't have a chance to look at it, especially when people are doing like, oh, this one soup and this Caesar salad with shrimp. It's like, it's done. I know their order. It's not complicated. But put 25 tables in succession and then going boom, 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 and people are ordering like their iced teas with or without sugar. We have black and green iced tea and all these other kind of beverage, choices. It just became really stressful because I would do a loop to try and get myself above water, and then I would go to the computer and try and input everything and regurgitate everything I just took. And then I would start, as I panicked, I would start to forget and second guess the ordering, and it became this like snowball effect where I was like, okay, I've got to get my shit together. This is just a for now situation. Once everyone's orders in, I'll be coasting. But it literally took like a full hour of running like a chicken with my head cut off. And, not having the buster support and people having 2 courses and I'm supposed to fire every course as well. It's just the worst possible shift I've ever had in my entire life. I made it through just fine. I just feel like the amount of immense pressure I felt, because not only are these like important members, like these are also like celebrities and like executives of networks and directors and like major names of people that me, Adam, as an actor, wants to have not bad memory or bad experiences.
Yeah.
I want to be able to like look like I'm, I have my shit together, even though it wasn't my fault that they sat me like 5 sections in one zone for me to handle single handedly. But that is by far the worst shift I think I've ever had. Above, there's a lot of stories I could have brought up about incidences with specific interactions and even at the Hard Rock, there's one day because it's old and the rain was flooding so much that was a horrible, 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 awful that I don't want to talk about things coming into the downstairs kitchen that we had to stop using that kitchen, but still seating people downstairs in front of it and have us running the food from both levels and try to handle the smell and not what was
Oh,
happening. And if you know health codes, that should definitely not have happened.
no.
I worked through it all, but that was probably like I literally was thinking to myself after I finished. I was like, I don't know anyone else at my job that could have handled what I did because I'm usually pretty even keel under stress. I'm good at like not showing it. The swan metaphor. Have you ever heard it? Where you're like gliding on, but underneath the water, like your feet are like bloody hell. I'm pretty good at showing that, but that day I'm pretty sure I probably had a little panic in my face. I
Well,
must.
there's only so much you can do. I feel like there is a certain point you reach to where it's just like it's so much shit that all you can do is be a Roomba and just coast, and there's only so much. But and then it reaches the next level to where it's like you're gonna see my stress. It's almost like this surrender to be like, it's fine. I'm stressed and my face is showing you I'm stressed and you can see I'm stressed, and there's nothing. It's a weird surrender. It's almost like those it happens a lot in movies where like there's these battles going on or this explosion and there's that one person just walking through slowly like through the entire battle scene. Or even now what's been up for me a lot is I always say, like, when I get now that I'm slammed, I just feel like I'm one of the musicians on the Titanic. I'm just like, well, it's gonna make the best drinks I can while this
That
ship
is
is sinking.
the metaphor I've given it so many times when bad shifts are happening because my other restaurant job also sometimes the management gets short staffed because they just are not paying them enough to do what they have to do, and
Yeah.
so then and then when one manager takes a vacation and we're like completely short staffed, and then we get a bunch of walk-ins, I'm like, I'm the violinist of Titanic right now. It's like I'm trying to keep morale up, I'm trying to keep everything
Yeah.
together. No, I don't have things. Our pets' heads are falling off. What's going on? It's like, what is happening? But you're just like, keep a smile on it. But I have to completely agree with you what you said earlier. Like, we are creating monsters by putting guests first, and no matter what they say, even if they're complete, like, liars.
Yeah, so in it, like, I, I I have experiences in working for Union Square Hospitality, um, good and bad. There's things Steve Hansen literally wrote a book on hospitality, which everyone, when they find out that I've like, some people, like, especially in LA, like, really drink the fucking Kool-Aid. And when they find out that I work for Union Square Hospitality, they're like, oh, I read his book, da 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 da. Did you read it? And I was like, no. I mean, I have it. They gave it to me. I'm like, I'm not going to read a fucking book on hospitality. And I will say, for all the things I am annoyed by what this organization has done in hospitality, they and I rolled my eyes in orientation when they were like, our employees come first, because if our employees don't come first, then the customers will feel it. And I was like, yeah, fucking right. Like, what up? Like, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's rain. Like, just. And then I saw, like, their structure actually is very. It's not that they're not going to ride you. It's not that you're not going to have tough shifts, but they really do stand up for their employees. They expect a lot of you in exchange. But I was like, I will, again, like I say, I'm tough, but I am fair. So I just, yeah, I think you have to take care of your people, because they're the ones that are taking care of your pocketbook. They're the ones that are taking care of your guest, which brings money in. So you got to take care of people. I want to talk to you, and it's perfect that you brought up the Rita of it all, about longevity in this career, because I've been doing it for about 20 years now, and you, same timeline. um and I am actively, like, struggling to get out of this industry because it's eating me alive. But how do you handle working it, and how do you create longevity for yourself to where it's not eating you alive and you're able to like live your life and work this job, which is just like people say, oh, it's great because you don't take things home with you at a restaurant job. I'm like, the fuck? I'm a Scorpio. I am still pissed at something that happened in 2012 at Cookshop. Like, I am still angry at this customer. Like, I don't take things home with me. And then it's like, it's the same shit show every day. Like, my partner's like, it just seems like every day is like distressing. And I was like, it is. In restaurants, for me, I find are getting worse, especially with social media, with this and that, like the expectations. It's like, I can't handle it. How do you create longevity and how do you preserve in restaurants?
I've had a lot of interesting steps to my hospitality career. So I worked at ESPN Zone in Times Square, which was
Oof.
kind of a fun place, a lot of fun actors. That's where I met your friend Matthew, because he
Yeah.
was Jamie Harper. And then from that job, I went to work at Budokan and Meatpacking for 3 years, which is like its own vibe. My dog is just wanting to say hi. I'm
Hi,
so
baby.
sorry.
Come say hi.
Uh, Come here, Oliver. This is Oliver.
Oh, what a cutie. If you are listening to this podcast, you are missing out on this cute little pup's face.
He's just a little. He was all cuddled up in bed, and then when I had to get out to do this, he was like, "Where did you go?"
Of course.
But after working at Budokan, I started working in Michelin culture. So I started working at a restaurant called I Fury. And so when I decided to move to LA, I started working at Providence, which now just got its third Michelin star, but it was 2 Michelin stars the whole time I was there. And that was the most stressful of, I think, all the experiences because it was like tasting menus and you're having to make sure everything's perfect and it's wine pairings and it's just like it's changed the menu every day. I think the key to longevity for me, once I found this 2 restaurant situation, it made me feel like I was never fully 1 foot in either one. I had
Mm-hmm.
the ability to be one of many servers that I can fluctuate, and I prioritize my creative work as much as I can. So, case in point, doing this lovely show that we're doing, I felt so blessed that I said I need to switch to lunch only so I could have rehearsals during the week. They're like, no problem. I don't know many other jobs that people could get to be like, I just need to like switch when I'm coming in for like 6 or 8 weeks, however long we're rehearsing for. And so that's one thing I like about it is that it does feel like I'm not in essential. Like I have friends that are executive assistants and all these other major jobs that seem like really great. When you think about it, what happens if you book a big opportunity and you're the one person supporting them? What do you do? Like how do you get coverage for yourself? You don't. So I like to consider the focus on that makes me happy that I like if I ever book a big movie or TV show or anything, it is easy for me to I can take a leave of absence for my jobs. I can take up to 2 months off if I needed to and still be in good standing. So I don't ever feel super dialed into it. Um, I focus immensely on my creative work, to kind of whenever I'm dealing with the grinds and the Karens and all the situations, I feel that fuels me to be like, I'm gonna go kill it at this next audition because I've got to find something to offset the hospitality chip on my shoulder and fill that with creativity. And I'm also a writer. I screenwrite. So I have taken some of the beautiful and not so beautiful interactions with the very myriad of personalities and I've used it, and I fueled certain characters or certain there's full on scenes that I've had that I'm like, oh, this is going to make a great feature film, and
Yes.
I think it's fun to kind of know that as a storyteller, and even if you're just an actor, you can still let these interactions just give you a chip of what humanity has to offer, and know that like this can be a character you can pull from. There might be a
Yeah.
character I've got, not Leo Frank, unfortunately, in this show. It's not something I can say is an experience, but there's other characters I have played that I completely ripped off of a weird personality that I had serving, at one of the jobs that I've had. But I'm with you. I'm hitting that breaking point of just kind of like the outer skin is starting to feel like it's wearing thin, and I feel a little extra punchy these days because I feel like I'm just wanting to be in a situation where I feel like my value is fully being appreciated and compensated. And it's literally coming back full circle to the conversation of putting guests before the coworkers, which both jobs do.
Yeah.
Both jobs do. They absolutely the club is like the members will just like text their owner, and literally even if it's complete lies, they're just gonna like I'll get in trouble for anything that they're like. Oh, they said no to me about this, even though that weren't supposed to say no because they don't do that. All of a sudden, I'm in trouble. It's like so. Whenever they throw us under the bus, it just makes you like feel so underappreciated. And so I guess for me, what I always try to do, I'm an internal optimist. I try to focus on I'm really excited about the show we're doing right now. This has been a dream role, and I'm so excited to be working on that and letting that just kind of completely like brainwash me from even thinking about my hospitality jobs. That is definitely what I use. But I'm kind of soul searching this year. I'm really thinking like, what would be the good job that still supports creativity? But yeah, I would say that's it. Is just trying to like whenever I can try to find the positive or try to think about the creative work that I'm doing. Let that kind of motivate me to move forward. And it is kind of infuriating to be working at an environment where I'm seeing a lot of meetings of people that are creatives that I feel like are not quite as qualified, based on the fact that they're super young and green. And I feel like I know that they're paying with like a corporate card from the network that they're working at. That I'm like I know they're probably not even paying for this membership and this life experience where they're getting to mingle with all these people, and yet I know more than them. I'm hearing the conversations they're having when the producers or whatever are at the table, and it's like it feels very frustrating. But I let that frustration fuel me and put a fire underneath me for the bigger dreams that I'm going after. I don't know if that's the most helpful answer or not, but it's like I do feel like I'm stuck between that. Like, is there something else, or just be grateful for what you have? It's that.
It's real.
Yeah.
There is no perfect answer, because if there was, I would be able to apply it and not be so frustrated, and you would apply it. We wouldn't be. This podcast would not exist. So speaking of your creative endeavors, let's transition over to you as a performer and kind of your experience. So I assume when in New York, you were pushing more towards theater, and then you transitioned into film when you came here, or did you start there? And what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to work in film and television, but I majored in musical theater because I was such a Broadway nerd when it came to growing up and doing shows, and that was always the dream that I was pursuing. And so, as you mentioned, I was able to do a couple children's national tours to get my equity card. My first equity show was with Arts Power, which was like doing a children's show, and then there was a long wait to work because obviously you're in the pool. And I was there in New York in 2008 when the recession hit and they closed 15 Broadway shows at once. And all those working Broadway actors joined the EPA line of getting assigned.
Mm-hmm.
It was insanity. But that also kind of facilitated me to kind of start working on my own thing. So I noticed you're an award-winning cabaret artist, but I ended up working on. Yeah. So I worked on a autobiographical musical called Misunderstood and Unrequited Love Story that premiered at the Laurie Beachman Theater, and then I kept developing it. I did a run at Don't Tell Mama like 2 more times, and then I did a farewell tour when I left New York after 5 years and did the most recent version of it before I moved to LA. And that's 10 years ago at the Duplex. And that writing of kind of coming from a point of view, I think really inspired something within me to know, like, I don't want to wait for things to only happen. Like, obviously, you can have infuriating audition seasons, do a great job, get called back, and then never hear anything. And so I have had a talent manager in New York that helped give me auditions for film, but I really started my film chapter when I decided to move to LA. And when I came to LA, my sister was out here first, so when I visited her in New York, it was like 80 degrees, and I went back to -17, and it was just, the more brutal it was to come back, the more I was like, well, maybe I'm like ready for something different. I was feeling like stuck in New York. And so when I came out here, I started, really tackling wanting to get into a camera course. And I got accepted into this great program at UCLA, which is like an acting for camera intensive. And we got to be directed by Jason Bateman and Jennifer Aniston, and like every
Oh
week there was
wow.
like working actors to get to be immersing with, and then they kind of taught us to like don't wait for things to happen, write your own opportunities, and so that kind of really spurred me into like becoming a writer and screenwriter. And so I started a nonprofit production company with some actor friends to shoot a proof of concept pilot that I created, which has been developed over the last 8 years. And that spurred us into like producing and running a film festival for 5 years and working on other shorts. And it just kind of like, once I came here, I think I just kind of really enjoyed the dynamic of LA because I feel like there's a lot of work for to go around. And I still believe that there's a lot of industry here with different mediums,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's as cutthroat competitive as New York. I think if you want to do something, you're going to find work to do it. And so, yeah, I worked a lot in film for that was my focus when I came out here. And then I really missed theater. So in 2023, I kind of started throwing myself back in to find a way of making it work. When I worked at Providence, it was only nights only, and I just knew that most rehearsals in LA are nights versus in New York, they were kind of like 9 to 5 ish. So it wasn't really feasible for a while. But now that I've been able to do a little bit of everything, I know that theater is always going to feed the artistic soul more than anything. I've never had the pleasure of doing a sitcom. I think having that live audience interaction might be a little similar. But most filming, it's like, it's not a very long process. I
Yeah.
shot two feature films this year, and one of them I only was there for like 3 hours because my entire character was able to be shot very quickly because of the way they scheduled it. And then I had another feature film where I had like 5 days of filming, which is really fun. But it still is just like waiting, holding, go to set, you get to film, and you get a little bit of interaction, but it's just a little bit of a different beast. But I've always wanted to be able to kind of balance a career. I say that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is like one of my hero role models because if you're not familiar with her, listeners, she created Fleabag, but she also like created the show Killing Eve. And so right after Fleabag's success, she literally decided to be writing only a show that had nothing to do with comedy, and she felt like she didn't belong in it. And then she gets cast to play like the feminine robot in Han Solo, and then she's in the Indiana Jones movie. And so she juggles this career of like acting and writing and creating. And I believe her next project is going to be Lara Croft Tomb Raider, which I'm really excited for
Oh
Amazon.
wow.
But she's like, I love the idea of being able to juggle all facets of creativity. I really love directing. I love producing. I love writing, but I would say my number one has always been acting.
Yeah, and so I mean, this just leads right into Parade and talking about creating opportunities for yourself, not waiting. This is something we're on the same page about in doing. And even in, I talked about this with Bryce last week. Was my agents were not very. They're not. They have certain things about about 99 seat contracts, and there's a lot of people in the union who and especially in LA because it only affects LA, who have strong feelings about 99 seat theater contracts. And it's like, but if I was doing a workshop in New York, or I was doing a showcase code in New York, which like is worse pay, like why wouldn't you want people to be creating? And like the thing that was so exciting was like, this is a show that I wanted to do. And so when the opportunity presented itself, it's like, yes, I will do the show for minimum wage because I have worked for Metro Swipes. I have literally worked for Metro Swipe reimbursements for off Broadway. So it's almost seems like a no brainer to take a show like this and to for you to create opportunities like this, not just for yourself but for other actors. How did
Mhm.
you and Bryce stumble upon Parade?
Well, so I met Bryce. She was actually in a production of Thoroughly Millie with my friend Monica, who's one of my best friends I met through my UCLA program. And Monica was playing Muzzy. Bryce was playing Miss Dorothy. I was completely blown away by her talent. She's got the most gorgeous soprano voice. And then right around that time, I think we were going to Disneyland together, and so I got to like hang out with her. And while we were on a ride, I think we mentioned how we like dream roles or whatever, and we talked about. She's like, "Mine is playing like Lucille Frank in Parade." I was like, "Are you kidding?" I was like, "I want to play Leo," and so then we started calling each other Leo and Lucille for a while. This is probably back in 2018. It's around the timing of this. And so Bryce and I
Oh,
have
wow,
been,
that seed was planted. That seed has
I
been wow.
yeah, when
Wow.
we first met, that was kind of when we were like, Leo Lucille, we'll do it someday. And so it's like Bryce and I were going to see movies and having little margaritas and having like little creative sessions of seeing each other whenever we could, and we started going to see movies like around like every week. And there was a moment where she had just come off of like a Moonlight Theater callback audition experience when she had worked there for a couple of years and like didn't even hear from them. And they were like complimentary in the room, whatever, and then nothing. And she was just like, I don't understand. Like I worked there, like they didn't even say anything or even bring me up for callbacks. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it's because you joined Equity in this last year, and then I don't know what happens, but I was like, you don't need to worry about them. And she's like, maybe we should just do something ourselves. I was like, well, of course. Like, I'm always down to be the creative, like the unpaved road. I've become quite fearless in the dimension of like, let's just do it. Let's figure out a
Yeah.
way. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize that her parents had set up this LLC in the pandemic to try and give her and her sister creative funds. So I didn't even know that that was a thing. I was just like, sure, we'll make it happen, and we could do a crowd fund or whatever. But it somehow came to pass that like her parents have this resources and are willing to give us this chance, and then we're like, oh my gosh, like let's go. And I have produced in film because of my production company, so I understand a lot of ways to kind of stretch budgets and things like that, but I've never really gotten into producing theater. Like my one man show at Duplex and Don't Tell Mom, like cabaret contracts in New York are like very easy to like produce. They make it so easy for the cabaret performer in New York. Your theaters, especially 2025, I had no idea how expensive everything, came to pass. So it was a lot of learning lessons, dealing with equities and with the contracts. I'm pretty sure your agents with the 99 seat is just thinking like this is not a lot of money for them. That is the only
Yeah.
reason why they really have an issue. But they need to understand this is exposure. There's going to be, we're having a reviewer from Broadway World come to opening night. By the way, I don't know if you know that. And
I did, and I wish I didn't.
uh, sorry,
Bryce walked in like, we have two reviewers coming up in night. I'm like, fuck
white
me.
class, white class. But no, it's exposure and it's exciting and it's like I think at the end of the day, I think it's a very rewarding process. I mean, we've had a lot of stress of doing the double duty, but I think it's been all worth it because the people we brought together in this production, I'm just like I could not be happier with how talented and how much like everyone's just giving their all to it. Like even our assistant music director, our assistant director, like everyone is just throwing all of themselves into this, and we are so lucky because I have done several experiences of theater in LA, and I don't think that that's a normal experience to have that kind of thing happen. So we're kind of feeling so blessed to make this the best we can. We really want to sell out as many of our seats as possible and get people to see this production. Um, but yeah, I think we kind of just like said yes to it before we really thought about what was going to happen, and we've just been learning as we go and asking people that have done things in the past. I have a lot of networks and relationships of directors that are involved in boards of theaters, and so any questions we had, we have people to like lend help to us. But even like our costumer, Michael Mullins, I work with him as an actor. I knew he's also a costumer. I reached out to him. Our props person, Bouquet, worked with her as an actor. She also is a killer props person. So it's like I've been able to like cultivate people and friends and give them jobs and try to also like, lift people up, but also meet a whole bunch of new people. And most of the cast I didn't know, which is wonderful and kind of crazy because the theater communities in LA are pretty small. So I feel really, just really excited to be at this point. It's kind of nuts that we're about to open, but
Yeah.
I can't wait for people to see it. Like we still have a little bit of tweaking and finessing, but like
But
the
that's part of
show
the
is,
process.
it is, and the show is really coming together so beautifully. I really couldn't be happier with how this is like shaping up. So I'm just
Yes.
excited. I'm excited, and at the same time, I'm like, I don't want it to be over, but at the same time, it's been a very stressful schedule personally for me because I have gone from restaurant job by day to rehearsal by night, and then like not a whole lot of free time to catch up. But I'm living the dream right now. I have to remind myself that. So as I'm doing the stressful Karens and the hospitality, I'm also like smiling internally because I'm like, I'm working right now on something I've always wanted to. And, you know, you can't take that away, you know?
No,
I
yeah,
wish I wish they paid enough for us not to all have to serve right now. I wish we had that, but
yeah,
this was a very big first endeavor. I mean, we could have done a 4-person play because we like saw this great production of 222 A Ghost Story at the Ombudsman, which was like this amazing scary play that seems so much easier to produce. But of course, we went for the big Jason Robert Brown musical as our first thing we're producing. And with live music and a 19-person cast, and it's I always laugh because I'm like, we could have done this probably a lot less intimidating to get started with, but maybe it's good to start with something big so everything else is going to seem easier, you know?
yeah. Well, I'm glad you did, and I just want to, make sure to give a little like for my for my agency. The one of their things too. I just want to make it clear so that way they understand. I understand. Their thing is, they want us to remain available for projects that can pay bigger and this and that. So they really are advocating for us, and they're just afraid of like it takes you out. But like my thing for me is like I've been in LA for 2 years and I've been having great callbacks with the big theater companies. I've been having, being brought in for national tours, but nothing's landed. So I gotta do this, and I think it's amazing that people like you and Bryce are creating these opportunities and creating your troops. And like you said, like you're bringing in people you've worked with before and giving them job opportunities to then have that on. So it's all wonderful, and I totally understand my agency's hesitation. So I just want to make that disclaimer. So because I want to stay on their roster, and I really do love them. And and
Saying no to a job because of the potential for another job is always a silly way to go.
yeah,
I
and
just
the way that this
joke.
contract is designed the way that this contract is designed is like a showcase, or like if I book Broadway, there's no harm, no foul. You go, and that's just
It'll be
thank you.
there.
So and I'm going to tell you because you said if I book a job earlier, and I was like, I wanted to interrupt you. So when you book your next film, but yeah, so I think we gave a great reason why people should come and see this amazing show, and I'm just going to reiterate: October 23rd through November 2nd, and again, like I said with Bryce last
8
week,
shows only. We're selling really well. Opening
yes,
night is
unless
over
you're
sold, so get your
unless you're my
tickets.
boss, there's a magical third weekend. If my boss is happening to be listening to this, that wasn't about you in the beginning. And also there's a third weekend that I took off because there's a magical third weekend that doesn't really exist. Don't buy tickets for the third weekend because you can't. But
No,
8 shows only.
not that we didn't want to, but I don't even know if the theater would be available and the rights and all the other. It's like all these things are attached to the string of
Well,
that.
I'm going
But
to a wedding. I can't go. I can't do the third weekend.
But
But
no, people are not ready. The sound of our full cast in this space, the Amundsen tour was wonderful, but I was never fully hit by the sound of the singing. I don't know if it was the mic balance, but where I was in the theater, I just wanted to be walloped with the volume and the gorgeous notes of the chords of the numbers, and it just felt like it wasn't ever hitting me that loudly.
yeah,
This space with our powerful cast singing, it just gives me goosebumps every rehearsal. And so I think if people are not familiar with what this show is, just know it's an amazing true story and one of the most talented composers in our generation who knows how to musically score emotion better than the best. It's going to blow you away.
yeah, 100%. And before we head out, I want to give you the opportunity to let people know how they can follow you, support you, see your projects, cheer you on. So, how can people follow you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Adam Frieda Lang. I guess if you are on Facebook, some of us are still on Facebook. It's the opposite is Adam Fried NYC. I kind of have a bi-coastal Instagram or Facebook presence. And apart from that, come see Parade at the Electric Lodge. I have a couple films coming out to do the festival circuit soon. There should be coming up 60 Days in 6 Weeks was a rom-com I shot this spring that I think should be coming into festival circuits, probably in LA this
Nice.
very soon. And otherwise, that's all I want to promote for now. I've got work coming up, but I don't really know any of the dates for it. So I would say you can follow me, and I will always be promoting on my Instagram any updating screenings or anything, any good news to find out about.
And we will do shout outs here, like you heard at the top of the show. I love shouting out past guests and all the amazing things they're doing. Before I let you go, I just want to ask we know very much about reviews and living and dying by reviews in hospitality. And we know that bad news makes its way around faster than good news, if at all, which is why I always like to go out of my way to share good news, whether it's at work, whether it's as a customer, to let people know the good things that happen. So that's why I give you the opportunity, the last thing we do. Who is somebody that you want to just shout out today that has made a tough shift, whether it's behind the apron at a job, carrying a tray, whether it's been on stage or whether in your life, somebody that has made a tough shift a little easier for you that you just want to shout out today?
Yeah, I would say one of my really good friends, Mila. She is a manager that I've worked with, and during that time of stress at my restaurants, I know for a fact that she has always been able to be like by my side, being like, "What can I do for you? What do you need?" She's always intuitive when someone starts to get in the weeds. She just is there. It's like every time she knows how to show up. She knows how to like greet a table, and she can sense their anxiety instead of telling you, "Hey, I need you." She'll just go and take the order and put it in and get one less thing on your plate. I love that she has that sense of, she's one of the few managers I work with that like really take care of the staff. And she's lovely with guests, so she like is a good pacifier when people are not happy. She just swoops in, and it always is going to be fine. And I miss working with her as a manager because she moved to the opposite club location. I never get to work with her anymore, but she's always been, a delight in my day. Sorry, Oliver. And Oliver makes my day great.
And Oliver, too.
My dog is always the best thing to come home to after a stressful day, for sure.
Well, there you go. There you have it. Mila and Oliver, thank you for all that you do to make our tough shifts easier. This episode is dedicated to you, and clearly the world needs more people like you. This has been another episode of Tough Shift. And just remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life. Take care. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Sean Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life.